Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with JP8 Report, episode 258. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the JP8 Report. Thank y'all for tuning in. Before we get started, don't forget, if you're a first-time viewer of the JP8 Report, please click that follow button, and then next to it, you'll see a thumbs up button. Click that one also for a like, and if you can, share it and then repost if you can. All right. Also, if you didn't know, I broadcast through only Rumble, but I also go through Facebook and X, and we're trying to build our audience on YouTube so we can simulcast from Rumble YouTube also. But you got to have 50 subscribers. We're building that back up because I stopped a long time ago, and I believe we're up to 12 right now. So if you can go to the JP8 Report 67 on YouTube and like us. I'm not saying you got to listen to us, just subscribe so we can get that out there too. But Rumble's my home, and it will always be my home. But yeah, thank y'all very much for tuning in today. I got some squirrely marks going on my screen right now. If you can see me, give me a live chat. So let's go ahead and get started with the JP8 report and catch up on everything else. All right. So on the JP8 report, we have, let me hold on just a second. Let me check something out on my stuff here. Everything, I am live. Okay, good. All right. So November 12th, 1775. I got a letter here from Abigail Adams to John Adams, and it is, I received yours October 23rd. I want to hear from you every day, and I always feel sorry when I come home to the close of a letter. Your time must be greatly engrossed, but little of it is to spare to the calls of friendship. And hold on just a second here. Wow. Breaking news. Some Democrat Senate staffer faked being a lawyer to get an illegal immigrant released. That's as per ICE. Yeah, we can get into that later. That's crazy. All right. Let's go back to 1775. Winter makes its approach fast. I hope I shall not be obliged to spend it without my dearest friend. I know not how to think of it. The intelligence you will receive before this reaches you will, I should think, make a plain path, though a dangerous one for you. I could not join today in the petitions of our worthy person for a reconciliation between our no longer parent state but tyrant state and these colonies. Let us separate. They are unworthy to be our brethren. Let us renounce them, and instead of supplications as formerly for their prosperity and happiness, let us beseech the Almighty to blast their counsels and to bring not all their devices. I have nothing remarkable to write you. A little skirmish happened last week. The particulars I have endeavored to collect, but whether I have the facts right, I am not certain. The number of cattle were kept in Leechmere's Point, where the two sentinels were placed, and a high tide 'tis an island. The regulars had observed this in a scheme to send a number of them over and take the stock. Accordingly, a number of boats and about 400 men were sent. They landed, it seems, unperceived by the sentinels who were asleep. That seems to be a problem. One of them killed one, and the other took prisoner. As soon as they were perceived, they poured the cannon from Prospect Hill upon them, which sunk one of their boats. But as the tide was very high, it was difficult getting over, and some time before any alarm was given. And then Colonel Thompson, that's who we read about the other day, of the riflemen, marched instantly with his men, and though a very stormy day, regarded not the tide, nor waited for boats, but marched over neck high in water, and discharged their pieces when the regulars ran waiting for to get their stock, and they made their best of their way to the opposite shore. The general sends his thanks in public manner to the brave officer and his men. Major Mifflin, I was there and flew about, as thou would have raised the whole army. That was, man, I'm not even halfway. Okay, there's not too much more in this letter, but reading this of Lechmere Point, we read about this the other day in America 250, but that would have been good to read about right there. She gave firsthand testimony on how a battle went. That's pretty cool. This is why I do this, so we learn, right? 250 years ago. Let's see if I can get. May they never find us deficient in courage and spirit. Our army is exceedingly well supplied with every article but wood and provider, which is very scarce. As to provisions, we should find no difficulty in victual, and another army full as large. 'Tis now very healthy born in the army and country. We have a very long and tedious rains for the past 6 weeks, sometimes not more than one fair day in a week. All of our friends are well. My father seems to be much broke by his affliction, seems to have his care and anxiety doubled. I can perceive it as numberless instances. I hope you will be able to get the sulky repaired, and as he wants to come now before cold weather gets very much. And then Dr. Franklin invited me to spend the winter in Philadelphia. I shall wish to be there unless you return. I have been like a nun in a closet ever since you went away. Have not been in any other house other than my father's and sister's, except the one with Colonel Quincy. Indeed, I have had no inclination for company. My evenings are lonesome and melancholy, and I have in the daytime family affairs to take of my attention, but my evenings are spent with my departed parent. I then ruminate upon all her care and tenderness, and I am sometimes lost and am absorbed in a flood of tenderness ere I am aware of it, or can call to my aid my only props and support. I must bid you adieu till late at night. Most affectionately yours. And that's how she always signs off on her letters. That was a really good letter. And the Old English is kind of hard to read sometimes, but that was actually a pretty good one. All right. Hold on just a second here. All right. So that was November 12th, 1775. And if you're watching this for the first time, before my actual podcast begins, I read something that happened on this day 250 years ago. And on Sundays, I repeat it on Monday. So I only do Monday through Friday. So like on Monday, I'll do Monday 250 years ago, and on Fridays, I'll do Friday and Saturday 250 years ago. All right? And it includes letters, general orders, renditions of battles, whatever happened I can find, I'll put on there, okay? Because our history is very important, especially our history from our 250 years ago, which is the semiquincentennial is the actual name of it. All right, so my next deal is the Dalmatian Texas burgers. They're homemade smash burgers and dogs in Copperas Cove, Texas. All ingredients are homemade, including their buns. They're open Tuesday, they were even open yesterday, through Saturday, 11 to 2 and 5:30 to 7, unless they sell out. And they're located on the west side of Copperas Cove, behind Bush's Chicken, right? And I went there yesterday and I got an armadillo one, which was funny because I was talking to him about. I was telling him I was going to open it up, take a picture of it, and then put it on the podcast also. I might still do that, but I'm not having any burgers today. So the Dalmatians are great. Everything's happening in Copperas Cove pretty good today. I was just listening to Fox News a little bit. They had J.D. Vance on. He was in some Maha symposium with the Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., and he asked him, who is the funniest person in the cabinet? It's like a loaded question, because I think he wanted the vice president to say RFK Jr. was, but he actually dropped the one where Marco Rubio was the funniest guy, in his opinion, in Trump's cabinet. And I think he's right about that, too. I could see that. So that was on just a couple minutes ago, along with that one deal I just heard. I'm going to look back in the back. There's nothing on the TV about it. But that's concerning that a staffer pretended to be a lawyer to try to get an illegal immigrant released. So, here we go. We are on day 43 of the Schumer shutdown. On Monday, it was approved 60 to 40. There were 8 defections from the Democrats that went along with the Republicans, and then Rand Paul voted with the Democrats. It was to break cloture, which means end the filibuster. It happened. What is not a guarantee is after you break cloture, it's a simple majority vote to get legislation passed. But believe it or not, the same Democrats that voted for cloture actually voted for the continuing resolution to open up the government. From there, the bill goes back over to the House. The House has to entertain it because there were changes made. One particular one was the CR now goes through the 30th of January, right? And they promised that they would entertain maybe doing a vote on the Obamacare subsidies, which it was only meant for the pandemic, so I don't know why it needs to be extended. And I think only 11 million Americans even use Obamacare. The rest, everybody else has employer-supplied health care, or they do the private way. The speakers recalled the House, and as I heard this morning, they're supposed to vote maybe by 9 o'clock tonight on the continuing resolution and to open up the government. And I'm pretty sure after that vote, the president probably will sign it tonight or like first thing in the morning. Probably tonight, because speed is of the essence right now. Because the CR will, it'll open up the government with a continuing resolution and then approve appropriations for the VA and for military construction and fully fund SNAP and the Department of Agriculture, where SNAP comes from. All right. The Democrats are furious on how this happened. They are very upset and furious with. If you just listen to the mainstream Democrats in the Senate and in the House, they want Schumer gone, and there's a few of them calling for Hakeem Jeffries to be gone also. Truth be told, they're right, because they're not doing our country any good. Me personally, I'm to the point where I want to. It's so contentious up there. I'm a firm believer in the filibuster, but right now they can get rid of it because nothing's getting done in our country. We have the majority. We have a 53-47 majority in the Senate, and we can't get nothing done because, well, finally we did, but these Democrats will not even let their people talk to Republicans to craft legislation to get anything done. The Speaker of the House told his people, go home to your districts and be out there and tell the people what we're doing back here, because you got to get the word out. For the most part, they did. They still had some hearings and stuff inside the House, but the Speaker recalled everyone. They should be back today. They're going to gavel in tonight. They've got to swear in a Democrat that got elected, and then we'll have a 2-seat majority in the House of Representatives. So we will see. It'll pass. It'll pass. The Supreme Court, to go along with the SNAP part that was in the continuing resolution, they made a ruling yesterday saying that the federal government doesn't need to fully fund SNAP. One is there's no money for it, and two, there's progress in the Congress for the fully funding of SNAP. So as long as there's progress going on, but case be told, if there's no money in the coffer to pay out, where are they going to get the $9.2 billion per month to pay out? The one thing they need to do, they need to readdress the qualifications to receive SNAP and WIC, because the legal immigrants should not be receiving this. Legal immigrants, yes, no problem. I have no problem with that if they're legal. Illegal aliens, nope, at all. And then with the Supreme Court again, they agreed to take up the case on mail-in ballots. Thank goodness. It's going to be, the case is Watson versus RNC, and the basis of the case is, does federal law allow states to accept mail-in ballots after the election? And it started in Mississippi. It was Mississippi against the Mississippi Republican Party or something like that. The case then went to the Fifth Circuit of Court of Appeals. It was heard by a five-judge panel. They ruled against. It was ruled against the plaintiff in the matter, which was not the federal government, but the Trump administration appealed it to the Supreme Court. We're going to get a ruling on that. 18 states allow mail-in ballots to be counted after the election day is over. You can probably count which 18 states there are. Let's see: New Mexico, Minnesota, California, Oregon, Washington. Let's see. You can probably say Maryland, Delaware, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont. I just counted 13 right there. And what did I say? There was 18. So there's 5 more floating around out there. I'm sure we can find them. Michigan is probably one. Probably Wisconsin's probably one. Well, you get the point. They're going to have arguments. We'll probably have a decision probably sometime in June, late May, June, when the majority of their opinions come out. Now, I had this one other one, and I'll go ahead and mark it off because Katie Wilson, if you don't know who she is, she's another one of those DSA people, right? Democratic Socialists of America. They got 80,000 members across the country in the DSA. She's one of them. They just had Mondani elected in New York City, and he's a DSA, right? Now, it came out last night that Katie Wilson, they're still counting ballots in Seattle, Washington, for their mayor's race. Now, she has a 50.1 lead over Harrell, the current mayor of Seattle. Her lead overnight increased from 96 votes to over 1,000 votes in one night. The election's been over for a whole week. I mean, if you get in-person absentee ballots, they're counted that night. And then, where are the rest of the ballots coming from? Are these ballots being mailed on election day and taking their time getting there? It's been a whole week. Over a whole week. They closed. Well, if they announced yesterday that there was a 96 vote lead, then overnight it increased. Were they counting votes yesterday too? This is why the ruling from the Supreme Court on those mail-in ballots is very important. All right. So it looks like, as it stands now, they have a DSA mayor in New York City, and they're probably going to have a DSA mayor in Seattle, Washington. If you're on here and you know of any others, chime in on the live chat or leave a comment on the regular comments. That's a serious situation. That's why Election Day should be Election Day. I believe in voter ID. I believe that the Election Day is right then and there. I would be further to compromise to the fact of only 1 week before Election Day, use that for early vote. Do Monday through Friday on that week prior, and then you have Election Day. Because there's always going to be someone, right? This one, okay, I got to get this paper here real quick. We're going to talk about Jasmine Crockett. She was actually on the news this morning. Okay, they had someone look at her campaign finance reports, because after you're elected, you only have to do semi-annual reports. January 15th is when they're due, right? And Texas law says you have to post them and keep them posted for 5 years. She used to be in the Texas State House. So, Jasmine Crockett had $75,000 in questionable expenses on her latest FEC. All right. She currently holds the 30th congressional district for another year, and she's considering running for the United States Senate against John Cornyn, along with Colin Aldred, Robert Francis O'Rourke Jr., and some state senator here from Texas that got caught with the porn accounts on his computer system. So I guess, man, well, back to her. She had Spent $25,000 on luxury hotels and transportation. She spent $4,175 at a Ritz-Carlton, $2,304 at a the luxury collection. She spent $5,300 at the Hollywood edition and $1,173 at the Times Square edition. And she spent $2,000 at the Cosmopolitan in Vegas and $2,700 at the Edgarin. I can't even. It's and at the Coco, at that Martha's Vineyard. Okay, she spent $2,700 at transportation for you, and she spent $2,310 at DCA car rental, and $1,204 at a Bay Area limo. And then she spent $50,000 on security. Now, if that was her own money, I wouldn't care, because she gets paid $176,000 a year. Well, two things I would care about. If that was taxpayer dollars, I would go ballistic on it right now. But it's not. That was campaign contributions from donors. Now, I've held elective office, and I've collected donor money to be able to pay for my campaign. That is for the campaign. That is not for going to the Ritz-Carlton. What in the world? Why couldn't she stay at the Hampton Inn or the Courtyard Marriott or something like that? At least she gets a free breakfast out of the deal. But the Ritz-Carlton? She's from Dallas. Well, she lives in Dallas. She's from St. Louis. But, man. So, there's this one group called the Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust. All right? They're in Washington, D.C. So, let's see. It was addressed to Omar Ashmawi, Chief Counsel, Office of Congressional Conduct. There's an ethics complaint filed against her. U.S. House of Representatives, Representative Jasmine Crockett. Dear Mr. Ashmawi, the Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust, it's called FACT, is a nonprofit organization dedicated for promoting and accountability, ethics, and transparency in government and civic areas. We request the Office of Congressional Conduct immediately investigate whether Representative Jasmine Crockett violated federal law and health ethics by failing to disclose financial information. Federal law and health ethics rules require House candidates and members to publicly disclose their financial information to the public. To disclose requirements in an integral part of ethical and transparent government, because accurate and timely filing is the only method for citizens to determine whether candidates or members have conflicts of interest or are wrongfully profiting from their position. Under the public disclosure requirements, a member must file an annual financial disclosure report that provides, federal is only annual. Here in Texas, it's semi-annual every 6 months. A member must file an annual financial disclosure report that provides full and complete statement of their assets, debts, and income in addition to annual report. A member must file periodic report to disclose any financial transaction that exceeds $1,000 within 30 days of notice of the transaction, but never more than 45 days after the transaction. I see where they're coming from. So she filed her annual disclosure, but during the course of the year, she had those transactions over $1,000 and she never reported it. She may have a serious issue here. I don't think she'll be running for the Senate here in Texas, because that could really, really affect her candidacy. Well, let's see. Wow, she has some pretty good stocks. I thought she was a Democrat. She had stocks in Amazon, American Airlines, AstraZeneca, Aurora Cannabis. Oh, that's the THC people. AT&T, Brinkler International, Bristol Myers Squibb, Carnival, Corporate Cannabis, DuPont, Devon Energy, Exxon Mobil, GM, Ford, Johnson & Johnson, MGM, Moderna. Those are the people that make the COVID vaccine. Match the Market, Newell, Occidental Petroleum, Red Hill, Biopharma, Uber. Wow. She has stock in Uber, but she uses other transportation agencies. Wow. Sabra Health, Stocks Worldwide, T2 Biosystems, and others. She owns $110,000 worth of stocks. Wow. Yeah, I think Miss Jasmine Crockett may be having a little investigation on her. I'll put this over here. Do it right, you won't have to worry about it. Bill de Blasio. Back to New York City. Bill de Blasio is having an affair with the mayor of South Tucson, which he happens to be married and is a mom. And then I read just a minute ago on the New York Post that the lady is stalking him now. His problem. He's not even divorced either. The next is, I'll save that one. I got 2 more pages to read here. Texas Representative Jody Arrington is retiring from the House of Representatives after 10 years. He is the House Budget Chair, and he's in House District 19 here in Texas, which the filing period right now is November 8th to December 8th. Hopefully, he's been talking to someone that wants to take his place. It's in West Texas, Plainview or Grandview, so I think it's up toward the Panhandle. All right, but he said this is supposed to be a service and not a career. I fully agree with that also. But good luck, Mr. Arrington. You did a good job in Congress for these last 10 years. Hopefully you found someone to take your place. Back to the Democrats out of the House. Nancy Pelosi's daughter, Christine, there was a big rumor that she was going to run for Congress and carry on the family tradition in that congressional district, which is pure nepotism. It shouldn't happen. But she's still in politics, but she's going to be running for the California State Senate. She just needs to get out of politics. If she's anything like her mom, she needs to go. I saw a good deal on, what do you call it, on the Texas scorecard this morning. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. And then I saw it on Dear America with Graham Allen, and talking about Islamism, which is the government side of Islam, right? And then Sarah Gonzalez on the Texas Scorecard has 2 podcasts, a part 1 and a part 2, that y'all really need to see how much the Muslim community is infiltrating into the United States and trying to push So there's 5 pillars of Islam. And the second one, and you'll see when you read this, talks about taking over the government, right? And pushing their way of life into our government. Just a video on one of them said every house will have Islam in it by the time they're done. Our kids are going to bring it in to our houses before they're done. Not in my house. It won't happen in my house. If you get a chance, check that out on the Texas scorecard, right? Or just look up Sarah Gonzalez. It's S-A-R-A for her spelling of her first name. Before I get to the last 2 items over here, I'm going to talk about the president is advocating for a 50-year mortgage. All right, and I'm gonna read a little bit. Hold on just a second. Now, there are a lot of people who don't like it, the fact that there's a 50-year, because the bank's going to make a lot more money. But we got to find a way to get our kids into houses, right, with the lowest amount of a monthly mortgage as possible. And just because you get a 50-year mortgage doesn't mean you're going to pay 50 years on that mortgage. Like us, we're paying more. We got a 30-year mortgage, and we're going to pay that thing off in about 22 years. We're way ahead of schedule because we just plus up the amount of money we're paying every month. They'll pay that off. So if you got a 50-year mortgage, you have a low monthly payment. I know at first you'll be paying a lot of interest, but on that interest, if you're paying it and then you put like the $200 you're saving by a month by going to a 50-year mortgage over a 30-year mortgage, it lowers your monthly cost by $200. But if you have access to that $200, why don't you go ahead and put it toward the principal now, and you're drawing down on that 50-year note, and you're going to pay it off earlier. Or if the interest rates drop down even further, which they need to go a lot further, you can refinance it to a 15 or 30 when you can qualify for it and still pay it off early. All right. Okay, this came from New York Post. President Trump has floated the idea of 50-year mortgage, bold if controversial attempt to make home buying more affordable while the median age of buyers skyrockets and mortgages demand remain low. Details remain hazy, but Bill Pulte, director of Federal Housing Finance Agency, said over the weekend the administration is working on the proposal, which he called a complete game changer. I fully agree. Such a long mortgage, a good 2 decades longer than the popular 30-year fixed mortgage, could help low-income consumers get their own homes. On the other hand, they'll probably accumulate less equity and end up paying way more in interest than she told the Post. Now, also, the average person stays in a home only 12 years. Then they sell it. So it doesn't matter if you have a 15-year mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, or a 50-year mortgage. Basically, you're renting your house for 12 years, and then you're going to sell it and move. All right? It says on Fox News Monday night, Laura Ingraham told the president the policy enraged your MAGA friends. I don't think it did. With significant backlash from allies who called it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own their home outright. Like I said, put extra principal toward your note and you're going to pay it off early. A 5-decade mortgage would be likely lower monthly payments for homeowners. Like I said, for example, a monthly payment of a $400,000 home with $80,000 down is 5.98%, which is $2,293 on a 30-year mortgage. So $2,300 on a 30-year mortgage, and that drops to $2,055 for a 50-year mortgage. So it's going to drop on that one about $300 a month, 250, yeah, about 250. If you can still afford that 250 extra, like I said, pay off more on your principal. If the monthly payment is the only thing that's stopping you from owning a home, go for it. You can change it later. Take, for example, someone who's in the process of purchasing a home, making installments on a car. They know they know will be paid off in 1 year. Well, then you can refinance it later, and the car is paid, and you're in a different financial situation. Okay, so that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. But give them a chance to try to work out the details, and let's get some approval for it. All right. So that's there. That's that. Okay. What are we doing on time? We're at 41 minutes. No comments yet. Alrighty. Don't forget, if you're tuning in and you're not a follower of the JP8 report, click that follow button and give us a like, please. Okay. I'm going to go over one more email. So this is from the Texas Minute. Okay. Thank you, Michael Sullivan, for emailing this out. I wanted to talk about this, and he does a really good part on it. Ken Paxton is suing Harris County over a recent approval of $1.3 million of taxpayer money to provide legal defense services for illegal aliens. Michael Wilson wrote this article. The funding is part of Harris County's immigrant legal services, and this was launched in 2020, right? Well, Ken Paxton, he's our Attorney General here in Texas, put out, it violates Article 3, Section 52 Alpha of the Texas Constitution, which provides any county, city, or subdivision of the state from granting public money in aid of or to an individual whatsoever. He notes that individuals involved in deportation proceedings, being civil, not criminal cases, have no constitutional or statutory right to government-funded legal representation. All right? Let's see what else is in here. General Land Office, Don Buckingham, which I'm going to vote for again also. Her department of the Texas Land Office is going to be probing along the border around Juarez, looking for cartel tunnels. So evidently they found a tunnel in Hudspeth County, and then they found a handmade tunnel coming from Juarez. It was braced by wooden beams. It had a ventilation system, and it had lighting in it. Just think, you have to build this thing under the Rio Grande River, right? Enough down far enough where the ceiling won't collapse and flood it all out. Let's see. Tom Craddock from Midland filing for re-election. This will start his 30th term. Wow. He's been in, that's 60 years in Texas House. Wow. Man, that's a long time. His daughter is running for comptroller. Let's see. And then next, is there anything? Oh, yeah. And the governor of Texas has announced an investigation with the Texas Rangers to investigate the town of Elgin, Texas, for financial mismanagement. They're missing $6 million in this little bitty town. And one of the council members approached the mayor about it, and she blew it off. And I guess she reported it to the governor's office, and now the state of Texas is getting involved in to find out if there's been any actual financial mismanagement. Let's see, there was one thing I wanted to say in here. Where is it? Oh, an editorial comment from Mr. Sullivan was, just because you live in a small town doesn't mean you shouldn't be keeping a careful eye on your local government. That would pertain to Copper's Cove, that would pertain to Gatesville, that would pertain to Elgin. These little bitty towns need to be careful so you don't have the good old boy system running in your town and running roughshod over y'all taxpayers and getting away with it and taking your hard-earned tax dollars and misappropriating it and then going to jail. Let's see. On this day, November 12th, 1990, computer scientists Tim Berners-Lee and Robert Caillou at, I don't know what that is, CERN, proposed the creation of a hypertext project. That's where you get HTML, hypertext markup language, connecting computer servers as a web of nodes in which users can browse large classes of information. The World Wide Web. It wasn't Al Gore. It was these guys, okay? And then that would be about all for the Texas scorecard. Okay, don't forget, there's a deal about the Islamic takeover of Texas. Just go to the Texas scorecard, okay, and look them up and subscribe. And she has, I'll hold up the, see, and where the star is, where is my finger? Up right there. That's green. Okay, I got a green screen behind me, okay? But you have part 1 and part 2. All right. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was today's Wednesday. So tomorrow evening we have the Copper's Cove Conservative Club here in Copper's Cove at 6 p.m. at Giovanni's. Our Texas Senator Pete Flores is going to be our speaker at 6 p.m. And then we'll also have Norm Mitchell, our party chair. He's going to be talking also. So if you have time and you're in the general vicinity in Bell County, Coryell County, and Lampasas County, we all have the same state senator. Come on out and listen to him. All right? This is our chance to field some questions to him and talk to him. Maybe get a picture with him. Really, really nice dad/grandpa. All right. And I thank him very much for coming out tomorrow night. So this is our monthly social. So and I don't know if we're going to do one in December. I'm going to take a poll tomorrow night with everyone to see if we want to have a December social. If not, it's going to start right back up in January. We have I talked to Norm yesterday, our party chair, and we had 14 people sign up the other day, but he did not get anyone Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday to file for office. So we're standing at 14 right now. All right, so to be able to find me on my socials, you can find me on X at James Pierce Jr., Facebook at James A. Pierce Jr. You can send me an email at jp8report@gmail.com. Don't forget, go to YouTube to the JP8 Report 67. That's the channel. Just subscribe to it so we can build our numbers up. Keep liking, keep sharing. Find me some more followers. We're at 97 followers right now. I'm looking at, we got 10 people watching live, that is. I know it goes up a lot higher afterward, but we got 10 people watching. We got 97 followers. I would like by Friday if we could be at 100 followers. That would be great. All right. But thank you all very much for tuning in today. Look over my shoulder, see if you can Caroline Levitt is doing the White House press briefing right now. Stock market is way up too. It was up 500 points yesterday, and a while ago it was up over 400 more points. So making some record closings. So if there's any comments, questions, moans, groans, comments, all right. Oh, by the way, I only had 35 people watch the podcast yesterday. I know it was Veterans Day. I did a really good podcast with a bunch of pictures of me and my wife and good friends of mine that I served with throughout the years I was in the Army. Give it a chance. Go look at it for a few minutes if you want, okay? It was really good. But thank y'all very much for tuning in today. I will catch y'all tomorrow at noon before my big 4C event, Copper's Cove Conservative Club. All right? So this is James Pierce signing off on the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.